Welcome back to another video. This video I'm starting to put together the rear end. All the engineering's been done, throwing a bit of paint on it, and now it's time to actually start putting it together. I'll briefly show you what it looks like at the moment. Here's the diff housing and the link bars. The diff center is over there, all the mounting bolts, the coilovers are under that towel there. This is the rear of the frame, or of the chassis, and there is the new fuel tank to go in. So basically, fuel tank, the diff, and all the other bits and pieces that go along into the diff. I've only painted up to here. I've only painted up to about there because, as you can see underneath, it's still just the C-frame on the chassis. I did have the engineer come around last week and he done a intermediate inspection, said everything's good on the rear end, I can start putting that together. Front end is all good with the exception of the steering arms. The steering arms I got with the kit are aluminium. Here in South Australia they're they won't do, they have to be steel. Fortunately they're HQ steering arms, they're the short steering arms for the power steering, not the long ones, because there's two different sizes. So chasing up a set of those, and then I'll have to get I may have to get the tie rods shortened just a little bit because of the angle on the steering arms, but I won't know that until I get the steering arms. With the boxing of the chassis, the engineer basically wants me to take it all the way from where I boxed it in for the C-notch all the way up to here to the front cross member. He recommended that as a future-proofing thing, so if I decide to go nuts and build a 1,000 horsepower engine, the chassis is going to be able to take it. He said at the moment, he said with the size of the engine being a 7.5 litre engine, he said, you know, the chassis probably be good for about 400 horsepower, and probably maybe 5, but he said just to future proof it, box in the whole chassis between the rear and the front. He said that'll be good for about 600 to 700 horsepower, which I don't think I'm going to get to, but yeah, you never know. Alrighty, so I'll get started into throwing all of this together. Alright, I have the rear end together. Disc brake rear end. The old original rear end was drum brake, but I've converted it to disc to give it better stopping power. And we have the top link bar, that's adjustable to adjust the pinion angle on the diff. Got the rear coilovers, spring tension is adjustable by the adjusting nuts down here, and on the shock absorber the rebound and compression rates for the shock. We have the watts linkage. It's also adjustable in the middle there to center up the diff. Once that's centered, that's not going anywhere, that's staying. We have the fuel tank is all mounted. The other side is the same, adjustable coilovers with adjustable rebound and compression disc brakes obviously, and the adjustable point on the top link bar on this side. I have started boxing up the chassis at the front here. This piece is in, so it goes from this cross member here up to that cross member there. This one I've traced out earlier. Basically all I've done is just used thick paper or thin cardboard and just taped it to the side of the chassis, traced it all out, and then cut it out, traced that onto the 4mm sheet metal there, and cut and ground to fit it in that side. So I will be doing the same on that side, and eventually all the way up the rest of the chassis to the box section of the chassis at the rear. I did forget one more point of adjustability down here where the coilover bolts onto the diff. This bracket here bolts onto the 4-link connector, and I can actually adjust the ride height of the rear just by unbolting this and moving this up and down. So at the moment it's roughly set about the center, so when I'm finished getting everything else done and I'll put the tub back on it, that may have to go up or down to adjust the ride height, and with that I may have to adjust the height of the watts linkage, which I've got 3 points of adjustment there. I've just basically set it in the middle. At the moment the suspension is at full droop, that's why you're getting the sharp angles on the watts link. Hopefully once it's all leveled they should be all nice and flat and parallel, and that should give me a good ride at the back and good stability. Alrighty, that's all for this video for now. I didn't show you any of the assembly of the rear end or anything like that. It's just basically me putting everything back together, putting the bolts in, tightening them up, that's it. None of the adjustment has happened yet until I finish off doing the boxing of the chassis. Once all that's done and that's ready to go, I can put the wheels back on the ground, or put the wheels back on the axles on the front and the rear, then put the chassis on the ground, and then start adjusting up the pinion angle and the ride height and everything like that. So anyway, that's it for me. Thanks for watching.